You'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
It's like that.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Jason Lawrence will give us our invocation this evening.
Our dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity that we have to be able to meet as a school board and school district and as community members to be able to discuss and work through school district items. And please bless us as we go throughout this meeting, that we'll be able to stay focused on the importance of the students in our community and always keep their interests in the front of our minds. And please bless all of our students and teachers and faculty throughout the summer, and please bless families that are traveling, especially during this time that travel happens. Make sure that please help those families travel safely. And we thank thee for everything that you do and that you give us. And we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. We're grateful that everyone's here. Our staff and for a guest. How are you? Welcome. We'll do a roll call vote. Chris Coates.
Here.
Randy Smith.
Here.
Cindy Clayton.
Here.
Richard Hess.
Here.
And I, Paul Jenkins, are here. If anybody would like to speak in public input, if you please sign into the clipboard that's in the hall. And we would need a motion to either amend or approve the agenda.
I move that we approve your regular agenda.
Been moved by Mrs. Coates, to
I'll
approve the
second.
agenda, and seconded by Mrs. Clayton. All in favor? Motion carries. Regarding public input pursuant to Board of Policy 4105, public participation in board meetings, public input shall be held to a maximum of 1 hour and will provide an opportunity for any board member, administrator, staff member, student, or patron to raise issues of interest. The board will receive such input without comment, except to ask germane questions of those speaking. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will take no action relative to any items during the meeting unless on the agenda, but may direct the superintendent to report such items at a subsequent meeting. And we will open the floor. We have 2 people who would like to speak. Weston Harris.
Chairman, you might invite both at the same time. I think it's the same topic, if it's okay.
Sure. That's just up here, so we can see it.
Obviously, you're. Okay. They are doing so I yes, okay, just here.
Now, my name is Weston Harris. I recently went to national contest for National History Day, went to Washington DC. It was a very fun experience and meaningful, and good people that approved the grants, and I am really thankful for that. The trip was really fun, and before in April, I qualified to go to Washington DC for the state competition. And at the national competition, I was the highest ranked person or middle schooler from Idaho. I got the Outstanding Affiliate Award. So that's really cool. That's what this medal here is from. My project I made was about the Providence Hospital. It was the first Black training hospital in Chicago or in the United States, and first Black hospital in Illinois. And this trip that I took was the first time I've ever been on the East Coast. So it was a very new and fun experience. I've only been in like Idaho, New Mexico, California, that area. So that was really cool, very humid, but fun. And there we were able to trade pins with other people from different states. So that's what I have on it now. There's a lot. And it was really cool to be able to go to all the different museums, memorials, and have learning information and to experience that. And our trip, we wouldn't have gone if not for the National History Day, and it probably would not have been possible without the grants. So I thank you for approving that and for the experience of having this very meaningful trip. Thank you.
Any questions?
Actually, I think we're gonna bend the rules a little bit, ask you some questions.
Okay.
What was your favorite thing to do there?
Well, the whole thing was fun except for my foot. I had surgery on it the bit before, so I was just able to walk on it for the first time. But it was really fun going around the Washington, the mall, being able to see the Washington Monument, like Memorial, and that stuff.
Questions for?
What was your favorite museum?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that.
Well, the Air and Space Museum was cool, except half of that was closed off. But I really liked the American History Museum.
I just want to give you kudos. It's pretty awesome to see. This is the favorite thing of our job here is to see our students and see the cool opportunities that you guys go out and just show us off so well. So keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully this is the first of many trips for you.
You can also see a nuclear reactor at the University of Maryland, so I'm gonna go see that, that's kind of fun. His dad's a nuclear engineer, so it's.
That's cool.
They were just determined when they came home that they really wanted to come and thank you guys, so. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to share Weston and his amazing accomplishment.
That's,
We're glad you did.
What
We'd like to share it.
states did you go to? So DC,
Um,
general ones?
We were in Springfield, that's where we stayed, but
The competition was in College Park, Maryland, at the University of Maryland. Okay, so my turn real quick. So I have everybody to thank. So yes, thank you very much. It's mostly why we came. It was a great trip. I had been in 20 years and actually, I have something else to talk about too. I'm gonna put on my other shirt. So my daughter is on Hillcrest Marching Band, and so I actually just went with them too this last week, so I got to go twice. So I really thank you for funding him because we've done so much fun, fundraising for the Hillcrest Band, but I just want to tell you what great students you have in your district. Like, they were so, grateful and positive, and like, we got off the plane and the flight attendants were like, they were so delightful. We loved having them here, and the bus driver and the people at the hotel and the restaurants. They were always telling us what a great group of kids we had with us. They did a very good job representing Idaho very well. So I hope that you can have them come and talk about their trip. It was really great. And Mr. Emerson did a wonderful job, and he's done a good job with those kids. So thank you for hiring him. He's been so good. And so they're busy. They've been busy practicing. They're getting ready for the fall. They just basically go all summer. So, do you have any questions about the trip? I hope you can have someone come and present and see all the videos. And I took a ton.
Well, you were there.
I just want to thank you for being a chaperone, so I didn't have to be one, so I could go and just experience that.
Oh, you know his mom?
I am.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It was really awesome. So I love that you came and got to share it with everyone. And it's true. Our kids are super impressive.
Yeah.
So thank you. Great.
They got to see lots of things and what was really interesting, we did it one night where we were seeing a lot of the monuments. We saw Vietnam and Korea and Lincoln Memorial and stuff like that. And so I was kind of listening to what they were talking about on the bus as we're driving back, and so many people talking about what they fought and their ancestors and their gratitude for their country and the trip. And it was just so cool to hear that it was being felt for them. So anyway, just wanted to report back on that and hopefully you get more. So thank you very
for
much.
taking the time. And again, congratulations. Actually, if you'd come up and shake hands with the board members, we'd really appreciate that.
All right, I'll just do this here.
What year in school?
What year are you in school?
That's great.
Oh, that ninth grade.
Ninth grade.
It's on its way to ninth grade. It's on its way to Hillcrest. So, thank you.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. It was so great to be there. So good. Anyway, thank you all.
Thanks. Thank you. Good evening.
Wow, that's the best part. To see what our young people's in. All right, to approve the consent calendar, we would need a motion.
I move, go ahead.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
It's been moved by Mr. Smith
I will second.
and seconded by Mrs. Coates. All in favor? Aye, motion carries. Planning and personnel reports. Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, so the first item we have tonight is a recommendation for Bonneville Online High School Assistant Principal. 3 years ago, when we combined Bonneville Online High School and Praxium into one position, we hired a part-time Bonneville Online High School Assistant Principal and a part-time Praxium Principal. And with the changes that we've made with Praxium last month, it was recommended to move Nancy Jackson to full-time principal at Praxium, which opened up a part-time online principal. Knowing that there was going to be challenges to finding a part-time person at this point in the year, we spent some time talking with Principal Telford and Jason, myself, and Scott. And we discussed Miss Annie Reichelt, who's been a longtime teacher in the Bonneville School District. She's currently the online curriculum coordinator, and she's overseeing the process of creating and writing our own curriculum for our online classes. And so we worked with Corey, determined that was probably our best avenue to offer Annie the opportunity to join Bonneville Online as an assistant principal while she continues to work as the coordinator for the online curriculum as well. And so tonight we would like to recommend Annie Reichelt as a online assistant principal at Bonneville Online High School, part-time, and then also the continuing her current role as the online curriculum coordinator. And we're excited. Annie's been in our district, I think, since 2010. She was hired at Hillcrest, spent probably 7 or 8 years at Hillcrest as a science teacher. I was really kind of sad when I left Hillcrest because I wanted her to come to Bonneville with me, but she liked where she's at. And then she's been in the online school for a number of years. She's got a lot of experience in curriculum writing. She's worked with IDLA. She's brought a lot of knowledge to our district. And so we feel like this is a really nice transition for her to continue to oversee that portion of Bonneville Online and also take on the responsibilities as an assistant principal. Annie just completed her internship this spring. The bulk of her internship was at Bonneville Online High School, Hillcrest High School, and Sand Creek Middle School. And so it's just a really smooth transition. And Corey's met with his leadership team and they support this recommendation tonight.
We would need a motion.
I move to approve Annie Reichelt as Bonneville Online High School Assistant Principal as recommended.
It has been moved by Mr. Hess
I will second.
and seconded by Mrs. Coates. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sounds like the speech.
Good background. So we're kind of transplants to Idaho and we fell in love with the area and with the school district so much that we waiver our kids into District 93 because we love it so much. I'm excited to sort of enter this new phase of education and get into admin. I've really loved working with curriculum over the last couple of years, probably 5 years or so, that I've been able to help, I don't know, sort of work with each of the schools to sort of come together, to put our essential standards together, to have one kind of curriculum for each subject area per grade level. So making those connections and bridges between schools when sometimes not all the departments always want to work together, but I've been able to kind of massage and smooth things over. So, you know, everyone kind of gets something that they like. So that's been a great blessing. And I feel like I've gained a couple of skills that I can use and continue to use in that aspect. And then for administration, I'm really excited to work with Mr. Telford and Miss Jackson to really go through and have her teach me kind of all the ways of what I don't know yet, because I feel like I have a lot to learn. Just in meetings today, I realized, wow, there's a lot that I don't know yet. So I'm excited and looking forward to learning more.
You come from where?
I originally am from Montana.
Okay.
And so Idaho Falls was a way for me to get close to home, and we landed in Idaho Falls. Yep, about 16 years ago. So, yeah,
This is a good move. Thank you.
thank you.
It's a
Any
great
questions
move for
for
me.
her?
It's a great move for me. She's awesome. Annie came to me, so my first year at Bonneville Online High School, I hired Annie as a science teacher at that point in time. Annie and another English teacher at the time came to me and said, we can't continue to do the things we do. And I said, I know that, but I'm gonna wait a year. And they said, no, we can't wait a year, so. You know, Annie, that's pretty typical, so we don't wait very long. So about 6 months in, we started changing how we did things at Bonneville Online to make it what it is today. So she was part of that initial process and change process that we have, so it's been awesome to have her.
And one of the big changes, we were paying probably about 250,000 for online curriculum for our high school courses. And then over that time, because of what they've been doing with what Annie's been doing as the online coordinator of our courses with the team of teachers at Bonneville Online and some other teachers coming in and building these classes, that we've been able to not continue with the software program that, I mean, we went from, can't remember who we were started with, Pearson, wasn't it?
Novanet,
Novanet.
then we went to Grad Point, and then we went to Pearson.
Pearson and BYU Idaho, or BYU Independent. Anyway, a lot of different places, but this has been able to make it so that we're building our classes for our students and not having to continue to pay that software piece, so.
It's nice because they're all, they're tailored exactly to what our standards are. They're tailored to our essential standards, which is nice. If there's a problem or an error, there's always little textbook errors here and there. And we can, if somebody reports them, we can change it instantly, and it goes across all to every virtual textbook, and it just happens instantly. So that's great. And then all of our classes now that we're building are all, they're built with the Quality Matters. It's like an online course assurance. There's a rubric, a set of standards on how you build classes globally, to make sure that they meet the highest standards of education. And so we're building all of our classes with those in mind. So we're meeting all those rubric items. So things like making sure that they're interactive, that they're accessible, that all of our videos have transcripts, that all of our images have alt text for screen readers and students that can't, read in a traditional format. And so we're making sure that we're building not just little online textbooks, but they're really awesome final products that all kids can use. So it's kind of exciting.
I'd just like to say, for science and math, we're fortunate to have you and hope you stay. I think you were well qualified and recommended for the job, so please stay.
Corey needs your help. Everybody needs, Corey always needs everybody, so.
Any other questions for her? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Heath, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, the next item is kind of a unique situation. Years ago, we had in policy that allowed for employees under certain circumstances to request a leave of absence. And during the years of COVID, the board did approve on individual circumstances to allow teachers to request a leave of absence. Scott and I have had some conversations about putting that back into policy. We're not sure why it disappeared, that we can't find any record of when it went away, but it's gone out of our policy. So we're looking at that right now. But Natalie Woods, who you have a letter from tonight, she's been offered a unique opportunity from the Department of Defense to work as a Albert Einstein Distinguished Educator Fellow, and it's a 1-year appointment that she's been offered. We've actually been talking with her for probably since March, and we've been waiting for, well, yeah, March 7th is when she's written a letter. We've been waiting for them to go public with this, and we finally said, we've got to get the board's approval and move forward with this. So we'll keep it as limited as possible, but we need to move forward with it. And so Natalie's been offered this opportunity to go work as an outstanding educator and work with STEM and work for 1 year in this fellowship, and we support her in that. And what we've talked about and what we're going to ask the board to approve tonight is an opportunity for her to take a 1 year leave of absence and be rehired at Thunder Ridge next year as a math teacher. You've met Natalie on a couple of occasions. She's came and received some awards, and she's done some things with Ukraine and Thunder Ridge, and so you've met her on a couple of different occasions. She's an outstanding educator, outstanding math teacher. We know that every year we need math teachers, and so we're very comfortable saying, yeah, we'll hold a position for you. And in fact, as this came up in March and April, I spent quite a bit of time with Trent DeBell, determining of, do we really need to backfill this position? Can you cover it this year? And Trent was able to maneuver some things with changes in his faculty not to even fill this position for a year. So it would sit open for her to come back and guarantee a spot for her. So what I will propose is, if the board approves this action tonight, is I'll put a letter together for Mrs. Woods to identify a timeline that she will notify the board of her intent of returning to the Bonneville School District. Typically, I would put that about March 15th to allow Thunder Ridge an opportunity to recruit and seek new teacher for math if we need to. But right now, she has full intentions of returning to Bonneville School District for the 26-27 school year. So it really is a pretty amazing opportunity that she's been offered. So.
Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. We would need a motion.
I will move to approve employee B 2026 request for leave of absence for fiscal year 2026 and rehire employee B 2026 in FY 2027 as recommended.
It's been moved by Mrs. Coates
I'll second that.
and seconded by Mrs. Clayton. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Cody.
All right, so, last Wednesday, we had a pre-bid, our pre-bid walkthroughs for the Bonneville High School, the Thunder parking lot, the visitor section, so between the stadium and the baseball, softball field out there. So we had some contractors come out, walk the field, or walk the parking lot, and we got the bid openings today. And the openings, so after we did the openings, the low bid came in at $829,829. And with working with Eagle Rock engineers and kind of what we allotted for this, we allotted a number of $574,000 for this parking, so it came in way higher than what we were anticipating. So about $250,000 more than what we were thinking. So there's a couple reasons behind this why we're thinking it's so much higher. Number one, the time of the year. I mean, asphalt companies, they're pretty busy this time of year, just being summertime. And then the second reason is the time. We're asking them to have it done between now and September 12th. So time frame is pretty quick turnaround. So a couple reasons why we feel like bids came in pretty high. So I guess I propose to reject the current bids and propose to reopen the bidding starting January 2026 in hopes that we can get a lower cost on this parking lot.
Would you think it'd drop at all if you said we just want it done this fall by fall?
It could. The problem is it's football games and fall baseball and trying to get everything done and needing access soccer. It's be nice to have that parking lot available during the fall. So the idea maybe try and start it the middle of May since baseball season's over, softball season, and then they have 3 months to get a parking lot done, and maybe we can get more bids and smaller contractors in to get something done that where they have more time to get something done that big throughout the summer.
Most of the prep work's done. This is mostly just asphalt lane.
No, you have drainage. We got going in. We got a couple drainage we gotta put in. We got scraping. We got haul off. So there's a lot of prep work still to it. That also includes electrical for lighting in the parking lot as well.
Questions? Any other questions? All right, we do not need an action item.
Yes, we do.
Oh, to reject the bid.
Reject the
Yes, we do, absolutely. We do need an action item. Sorry, we need a motion to,
I move to reject the current bid for the Thunder Stadium parking lot project at Bonneville High School and reopening the bid process in January 2026.
thank you. It's been approved, moved by Mr. Smith.
I'll second it.
Yeah, and it's been moved by Mr. Smith and seconded by Mrs. Clayton. All in favor? Motion carries. Sorry. All right. Facilities update.
Awesome. I just figured we'd give you a quick update of what's going on in the district, talking about exciting students and teachers and how awesome they are, and pretty exciting what we got going on here in the district. And 8 years ago, I hired as an athletic director, and about 2 months into the job, I called both Barney Gardner and Dale Gardner and just like, man, you guys are awesome. Man, all the stuff you did, you never know what somebody does if they do their job, right? Well, I appreciate John. He's been the man for however long, 15 years. He's awesome. You don't understand what he's done for the district these last 15 plus years and with facilities and maintenance, and he's done a tremendous job, and I'm definitely drinking through a fire hose right now, trying to figure out everything, but it's awesome. So, things that he's done is that kind of taken over with everybody is I done a quick little slideshow of what's going on with different schools, and next time I'll get Phil to do my presentation or my pictures. He'll be way better at this than I am. But this is Willow Creek. It's kind of hard to see, but Willow Creek, a few things, and Sam, if you want, you just kind of flip through it. There's a few pictures on Willow Creek here. It's all enclosed, which is pretty awesome. The roof's all on, and this was last week, so as of today, it's 100%. The roof's 100% finished now. They're starting to put all the exterior doors, windows on. Everything else is done. They're starting to get all the grading done out from the building itself. Starting to get some concrete done for different boilers and chillers that they're putting in. The inside, they're just kind of divided up into 6 different sections. You have 4 quadrants with the classrooms, and then you have the office area, and then you have the gym and cafeteria area. So the classrooms, you have 2 sections that are completely done, sheetrock tape textured. The other 2 are insulated, and one of those 2, they're starting to hang all the sheetrock in those. So it's starting to mold. You have all the frames completely done everywhere. This is just the middle section by the conference room and offices. If you want to scroll through it, this here is this will be the gym. So the gym cafeteria is kind of the last little areas that they're trying to get caught up on right now. And this is the cafeteria area. So it's pretty cool just seeing how fast they are, the progress with everything in there. And in here, they have removed the trees. They had the destruction of the parking lots all been removed. Cool thing with this, you had the bell, the monument of the bell. They're able to move that in one piece, nothing broke off, and put it on the corner area of the Anna school. So that's all intact and looks really good. They'll start destruction of the old cafeteria on Monday. So in a few days, we've just been waiting on reports from asbestos and lead paint, seeing what the numbers are. So that's starting on Monday. Hillcrest, of course, all these pictures are from a week ago, so they're way further in this now. They've already started electrical and installation on this part as well for that main access area. And then Hillcrest also, they're doing all the sprinkler system. They started all that with the piping and bringing in new lines for sprinkler system. Falls Valley, this is all sheetrock tape and textured. This is their main office area. It's amazing how fast they go and what great work they're doing on all these projects. They're also about halfway finished with the roof at Falls Valley. The other roof that I have in here, Cloverdale, they'll start that roof in next week. So, a week and a half from now. So they'll start going on that roof as well. Bonneville, lots of projects going on. This is a picture of them with the HVAC systems going in. They've got one installed, they're putting another one in. They've already built their classrooms. These are all sheetrock, taped and textured. For the 2 classrooms, they added it in at Bonneville. They tore out all the flooring throughout Bonneville cafeteria, commons, the halls. They're starting on the upper level of the gym area. They start tearing all that out.
This is where these walls are where the lockers were, correct?
Correct.
I was just gonna ask that, where are they adding those 2 classrooms at?
So this is in between the A wing and the parking lot that goes to the teacher parking lot, the entrance to the seminary building. It's where those 2 classrooms are.
Right in the commons.
Commons is still.
Yeah, you see the
Commons
doors
is still
going
there.
on outside there.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. We still
Oh,
own the
yeah, gotta
commons.
keep the commons.
Yeah.
Parking lot at Bonneville High School, they're putting in new lights too, so they're working on that. They're putting in new steps. They tore all that out. They've got all the forms done. The barrier walls are all done. They're just working on getting concrete and some steps put back in there. So really fast, you guys probably go take, I don't know if you guys seen this. This is all enclosed where this is the lift to Rocky Mountain. The actual lift guys were in there today, working on the dimensions and starting to set doors to get the lift put in. So it's going well.
Are they gonna stucco that, or
What's that?
are they gonna stucco the exterior?
No, it's just gonna be metal on the outside.
I mean, is it, vertical? Is that what
It'll be vertical and they're gonna match the same black metal that's on the outside. And we'll just do black metal all the way up.
Around the windows.
In this new area, there's no windows in it.
No, the metal on the windows. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it'll be the same black.
No,
So
that-
windows are black, the actual metal on up top is it's a dark bronze, is what it's called. So it's, when you look at it, it looks black. Here, it's a lot easier to match that than that red brick color that they have. There's actual piece of red metal on the side of this other entrance. And it just looks horrible with the red and red doesn't come close to matching, so. So that's Rocky Mountain, trying to think of other schools and
That's live on that slide.
what other projects we have going on. It's just crazy how many projects that are going on everywhere and. The bus transportation station is done. We got a knockout list, so we're having them come back to finish up. We're trying to get them to fix a few things on the exterior with siding. Parking lots, resealings, a lot of that's been done and painted. So it's been a busy summer. It's gonna be even busier these next few weeks, so a lot of progress. It's pretty awesome to watch, pretty cool to see.
Where are we with the process of the bus barn?
So we met the contractors today. We have a knockout list. They're coming tomorrow, do all the easy little things. The siding, we have that wainscot that needs to probably be taken off and replaced. They agree, so they're gonna come out and get that fixed. Then we have another issue up top with some siding up high that we're still kind of looking into. So,
Any questions?
I haven't been over there, they asphalt around that whole area,
the bus transportation.
the bus barn.
Yes, there's still some gravel out in a few areas. But yeah, all the parking lot's been asphalted.
Does it have a pressure washer and an oil recovery system?
It does. And then there's an outside bay to wash things as well. So there's a place to actually add on to wash buses outside as well.
Great.
Yeah, the shop I went there last week, and it's completely different than walking in. I mean, they had, I think 3 or 4 buses in the shop, and it's still
Huge.
big, yeah. When you walk in the other one, if there were 2 buses in there, you're like, I don't know how to get around it.
And there's,
And the bus was sticking out the back door and the door was open and the mirrors were taken off.
Take the mirrors off anymore.
I wanna say you fit 12 buses in there all at the same time.
So are we planning any open houses or ribbon cuttings just for school starts or something with all this stuff?
We have at least had a conversation about a ribbon cutting at the transportation barn, and we wanted to do that as we kicked off the school year. And so we probably need to finalize a date for that. Hopefully we'll finish the little projects over there, but that's the only one we've discussed.
But I mean, like Falls Valley and other
Yeah.
things, I mean, even if we just did it on back to school night or
Yeah.
something like that, wouldn't, you
Yeah.
know, let people know that, hey,
And that's why we talked about August is we'll have more people are, they're back and thinking about school and are around and I do think the Falls Valley, it's gonna make a big difference. It's a
Falls
big
Valley be a
change.
big one. Bonneville, maybe not this year, but the year after, when
I think it's really important that the community sees this money that we've received from the state and that we're doing these projects without coming to them and asking for money, and we're utilizing that money in a very efficient way.
I mean, even the lift there, I think there
Yeah.
would be something nice,
That's,
even if the principal just did it with the.
yeah. Jason and I walked through that and looked at that today, and the comment we made was 50-some years when we finally have a way to get kids upstairs. Just amazing that it's taken that long to be able to do something like this.
Didn't take us long, did it?
Yeah.
Do we wanna? I mean, certainly when I get to Summit Hills, we gotta have the community all show up and everything, but even on some of these are big
Yeah.
enough that maybe we ought to do. More than just the district, like, wanna invite the mayor, or
Yeah.
invite our representatives and others, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a good conversation. We can come back with some options and dates.
Especially with and I like the representatives. I mean,
I like
they're
it.
for the check.
Yeah, I like
Check
it.
is presented and, yeah.
These school projects that we're doing at a back to school night involved.
Especially, we're gonna do a bond this year, so, yeah, let them see how things are being responsibly. You know. We're getting a lot of mileage out of the money we got.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And. And it's gonna make a difference. So, we gotta let people know about it.
More comments, questions? Thank you, good idea. All right, policies for public review. Policy 5825 nepotism.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it open. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about this policy, the last couple of months, and we had a conversation at our retreat in June. And there was new statute, new language coming out, in state law that we wanted to get aligned, before we sent this out in public review. So, there's really only one slight change, that's happened in this policy from what we reviewed 2 months ago. And the change, what Jason's getting to come up, it basically states that, under no circumstances, and it's taken it directly out of state law. Under no circumstances may the school district hire and employ any spouse of the school board in a certified position. And then the change is that, the school district may hire the spouse of a school board member in a classified, contracted position. So, we've added that language into our policy to, reflect that, changes in state law that went into effect, and it's under 3 and 4 on that page in the blue. So, in no circumstances for a certified position in our district, the law does allow for certified positions in small school districts, but in our school district, the law doesn't allow that. But for the classified positions, at-will positions, that, the new state law does allow for that to happen. So it's represented in our updated policy. So our recommendation is to move this out to 30-day review and, finalize it next month.
The certified. Unclassified, the certified, I guess, eliminates. Just because I joked about it last time, the superintendent would still be certified because they have a teaching
Yes,
certificate.
yes.
Yeah, because if not, if you were considered classified, you didn't have to have one. You could have a spouse be the superintendent of the
Yeah.
school board, it'd be pretty ugly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks good to me.
But
We would need a
this
mo-
disallows it, doesn't mean you need to approve it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're still
I mean,
you still
we
make the
still need
decision
to
on the
consider
hiring.
nepotism, conflict of interest and all those things, and so.
Yeah.
This just says what the board could allow if there was a justification for it. But
Right.
we can deny anything we think is detrimental to our operational
With any
goodness or
any
whatever it is.
employee that's being recommended for
Yeah.
hire.
We need a motion?
I move to approve proposed policy 5825 nepotism to public review.
Been moved by Mrs. Clayton,
I'll second.
and seconded by Mr. Hess, all in favor? Motion carries.
Very good either way. The next policy for final adoption is 50/40 certified staff transfers. We spent quite a bit of time on this a few months ago. Went out to public review. We have not received any comments in public review. I think keeping in mind that this policy allows for us as a district and school board to approve under certain or unique circumstances, a declaration for how we will handle those unique circumstances. And so once this is approved as final, we'll start working on, as we look at boundaries and changes for next year, bringing a draft to the board to approve a resolution for opening Willow Creek and transferring staff to Willow Creek as we start that process this fall. So this will allow us to start working on that next step of the transfer policy for unique circumstances. And again, there was no comment received during the 30-day public review.
Questions for Mr. Jackson? Right, need a motion?
I move to approve proposed policy 50/40 certified staff transfers for final adoption.
It's been moved by Mrs. Coates,
Second.
and seconded by Mr. Smith, all in favor?
I
Motion carries.
never thought we'd have to deal with this one then.
Here we are.
Okay,
Yeah. So, and actually, this was, one of the things I've really liked over the last few years, and Scott's done a great job of working with other superintendents just throughout the region. But with District 91, I think I feel like as a whole administration have done a pretty good job of working with District 91 in just different situations.
They're going up there.
I don't know if do you have that one?
I do.
don't know if I have that one.
It's on ours.
It's okay.
Well, and Carla Lorange, the superintendent of District 91, had reached out and was going to be presenting a resolution to their school board and reached out to us saying, hey, would you guys be interested in joining us on this resolution? And what the resolution is it's a toilet training condition to be able to put within the statute of the age that students can enter into school, to be able to add that the student that would be now age eligible to start school would also have to be potty trained. One of the things that we're seeing in our school district, and 91's similar, of kids are coming to school and they're not potty trained. And so there's lots of challenges to that, right? Whether it's a student that comes and has, I would say an accident, but it's not an accident. To me, there's a difference as a kindergartner comes to school. And when I was the principal in elementary school, we would have kids every once in a while that would have accidents, right? You deal with it, call mom or dad, they come in, give you a change of clothes, and, mom hugs and gets the student back to class. And if it's a student that struggles a little bit more with that, we work with them. But we're starting to see that kids are just coming to school with diapers, and there's not really an expectation of, if there's an accident, call mom, she's gonna come give change of clothes. It's my kid's in a diaper and we're gonna have to figure it out. And it's not something our teachers really want to, or, I mean, can you imagine, right? I mean, in our special programs, our special ed programs, there's an expectation, right? That there's gonna be some toileting, there's gonna be some changing, there's gonna be those things, but in a general classroom, our teachers, and we wouldn't expect our teachers to, you have to change the student. That's not part of it. And so
Opens up to other.
yeah, lots of other issues that come with that. And so we've just seen more and more over the last, and it just continues to increase. And so we felt like this was a great resolution for us to support as a school district as well.
It accommodates everyone. I mean, if they can still send them with diaper, but they have to come and change it themselves. So,
Yeah. And
It'll stop if that happens.
And that's typically what we're doing, right? If a student comes with if a student goes to the bathroom in their diaper and it starts to be disrupt, and that's really the key, right? That it disrupts the education that's happening because it's smelly or whatever, right? Then a teacher's gonna call and parents gonna have to come get it. That's currently what we're doing. It's just now we're seeing more and more of that happening. It's almost like it's become this, they'll potty train when they're ready. They need to be ready before they come to school. So,
did I understand correctly that we even had kids that are up in the 6th grade Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
So. Okay, so we have this resolution, but I mean. That's not gonna change the kids coming this way. How does this help?
But it's just saying the district's not responsible for
Where it's
changing the
not
diaper.
If, yeah, for a student to be, because right now a student has to be 5 before September 1st. And so what they're looking at is, okay, that's fine, they're 5, they can come to school, but if they're not potty trained, then we're not. What the resolution would say is they can't come to school until they are potty trained. Now, does that mean every parent says, yep, my kid's potty trained? Or does that mean that a parent is gonna guarantee that they're gonna be potty trained when they come? No, but what, if we continue to have those accidents? And I just, again, think about, very rarely did I have a situation at an elementary school where a student would have an accident. Gosh, I think the most I had with a student was probably 3 times throughout the year, right? Not even 3 times throughout a week or 3 times in a day or whatever that was. And so to me, that's how we'll have to look at it is, if there's a kid coming in and they're continuing to have accidents, or they're coming in with a diaper, that we're gonna have to have a conversation with the parents of, is the student potty trained?
So, okay, yeah, if you got parents maybe worried, but. A big share of your foster kids are gonna be in this situation. Maybe most of them. There is no parents to help them.
Right.
There's nobody that gives a damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
understand what the school district wants to do, but. We got a growing foster care issue in this state. And. Just passing this resolution is not gonna help that situation. I mean, so what do they do?
Well, that says in this one, number 2 of. What do they call it? Establish requirements for each local, what's wrong one? Allowing a parent or parent's adult designee to assist the child with toilet training while on school grounds is needed. But I think they're just making a formal declaration and trying to educate parents. We'd really prefer that you have them potty trained before you come to school.
We're talking about kids that don't have,
Right.
or don't have
So then-
parents that are competent.
So
to
then
be
someone can be designated by whoever their legal guardian is to assist them, where they can.
Sometimes that
provide-
legal guardian is just the state, it's a system.
And what I would say in those situations, what we'll do is, like any resolution, where then if something does pass, then we're gonna write a policy that's gonna say, okay, here's what happens in these situations. To me, if it's what we try to do, and again, it has to be individualized, right? I mean, we're not gonna handle every situation as it's exactly the same. If a student is coming in and they are in the system, if they are, I mean, just to me, what we're not gonna do, and I would hope that we would never do, is a student that is struggling with that, but doesn't have that family support, doesn't have any of that, we're gonna try and work with that system. Not necessarily, and some of that could be.
So why do we need a resolution?
I think part of it is the comment that Randy made, some of it is that to really, so parents understand that not only do they need to be 5, we also really want them potty trained.
I know, but I'm talking about kids that there's nobody to.
That 50% of the problem is probably parents who just haven't taken the time to potty train their kids. That's ones we're focused on. The ones that have issues we'll have to deal with on a case by case, but some parents, unfortunately, I don't think it's not, they don't think it's abnormal for a child to go to kindergarten in diapers. That's one we're trying to work with there.
And I don't know, I wish I knew, I don't know the number of our students that are coming, that, let's say they are foster, right? I wish I had a better idea of random elementary school, we've got 5 kids that are coming with diapers. Well, of those 5, and these are all numbers, these aren't actual numbers, I'm just throwing numbers out. Let's say 5 kids that are there, are 2 of them foster, 3 are just families that haven't thought that was important. One of the things that we send home, so we send home a preschool newsletter every month. And within that newsletter, it really, it's about getting students to read, but then we also send home like milestones for each age, at one, they're starting to walk at all those different milestones, right? And what we put in there as well is it talks about potty training, and we have a portion in there to be able to help educate that as well.
The resolution and everything is assuming that you have something to send home. I mean, when you got parents that are on drugs, when you got parents that are in jail,
Yep.
when you got parents that can't take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And kids
Yeah,
are being the parents at 3 years old.
yep, yep.
There's
Yeah.
nobody to send anything, but this resolution means nothing.
Well, I think we,
I think the unfortunate reality is the kids in that situation, they're not just going to be behind in potty training. They're going to have not been taught ABCs. They're not gonna have any of the other things that we traditionally would say, this is what we need you to be able to do to be ready for kindergarten. And so those kids are going to be, they're gonna be identified with IEPs and things of that nature that would protect them and provide services to them that would help with some of the training for toiletry and things like that. And so I wish that every kid came to kindergarten with every readiness that's what we would expect. The reality is they're not, and this is going to be one more thing that we've been working through. So the kids in those situations, oftentimes in foster care, they're not just, if they're not potty trained, they're also not ready for school for reading indicators and ABCs and those other things. And so they may not have an IEP coming into kindergarten, but pretty quickly through the first few months of school, it's going to be identified that there's some learning disabilities and other things that need to be included in an IEP to protect and make sure they have those opportunities to stay in school and learn those things. So it's not going to be a catch-all, but for those situations, a individual education plan is going to help support the students to transition from foster care to school and learning and those things.
and to me, I don't think the foster care is the increase. I think the increase is from other students, and that's what we're starting to see. We've always had students that have come that aren't potty trained, and we're working with them that could come out of that foster setting. What we're starting to see is just a higher number of students than we've ever had.
There's, I assume you've read it, but just to remind, require beginning that year that, let's see, except in cases of documented medical or development exception. And then we have refer the student or parent counselor to a social worker for additional family support resources. So, I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna fall through the cracks. I think this is just a formal declaration for those who haven't got around to doing it, that can you do it before fifth grade for those that do have parents? The others, we always have to accommodate and work with. But I think that's what they're just trying to say is, it's just been creeping up as a standard parental, parenting prerogative. I'm gonna wait till my child hands me back and says I'm done. For some parents, they read books like that, and that's how they're gonna do it. So we're just saying, but if you have the ability, and you have a parent, can you please make the effort to potty train before they come to kindergarten?
And I do really believe, whatever policy that we put in place, that it's gonna address all of it. We need to make sure that it's addressing those things.
If we don't wanna leave anybody out.
Right. Cause I agree, that is this, a foster student or a student that doesn't have that same home support. The last thing we want is them not to get educated. Same conversation we have when a student comes to us that has done something that they could be expelled. We don't want to expel a student. We want to try and work with every student. So what does that look like?
Yeah. Okay.
My only question is if I mean, this is taking it to legislation, this is proposing it at a state level. But does that open the potential for us getting resources to help with that readiness? Does that make sense? Like, I think that by starting the step of, here's what we need to do, it's kind of like all day kindergarten, right? This is what we need to do. Okay, so they're not ready for that. So how do we help them? What preschool aspects or what do we? So that's I guess my pro on this is to, if it will help us get more resources to help those kids, then I'm all for it, right?
And to me, that's what, I think I think there are different, it's different students that we're looking at, and I completely agree that some need resources and some it's like, oh, I didn't know they were supposed to be providing training, but we'll make sure that happens. We can send out, and to your point, we can send out all the newsletters we want, right? But that doesn't mean that every parent is getting that, or every parent is reading it, or every parent has the ability, or every family has that, so, yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, there could be negative consequences to this, and unfortunately, I'm not doing what is here.
Yeah.
It was. And you could actually start excluding kids from school.
Right, and to me, that's not my, I guess that would not be.
I know that's not the intent, but to put something
Right.
out like this. Cause that could have happened in my situation.
The law definitely would provide districts an opportunity to exclude kids from kindergarten or first grade or second if they haven't met those criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And then you just take a bad situation and it gets worse.
It's worse, right? That's what we don't want, right? I mean, like I said, you hear the stories of kids that had those early on struggles and were successful, got through, and the stories they tell, and we hear it all the time, and it was many times a teacher, many times a school, many times an administrator that was the person that really helped that student, and that's what we want to continue to do, but.
I think the real key here too is, if I'm a kindergarten teacher, and I'm changing a little boy's diaper, you've got those kind
Well, I'm
of
not
issues.
saying we don't need to do it, I'm just not sure this resolution is helpful.
I think it's helpful that way because they're making the parents designate someone that they're comfortable with doing it if they're not coming to.
I would open ourselves up to a liability is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, they can find, I don't want you to be involved with my child that way,
But I think Mr. Hess says, I think you've got a valid point. Because there are children who do not have any support system. So what do we do?
Well, that's what it says, there'll be a.
But you have to realize that these kids at 5 or 6 years old, they're not gonna know. They have no idea what an IED is. Because they have nobody that stands for them.
I think there's gonna be a few exceptions that they're gonna be undeveloped in other areas as well, so.
Maybe, maybe not.
No, but a majority of them I think would be, there's always gonna be some that fall through the cracks. There's just never the perfect one size fits all. We understand that in our school system and we accommodate. Literally thousands of different cases of children in out of our 13,000. There's not one, but we have to have some guideline or something for the teachers. If they're changing a 5-year-old diaper and the parent comes and flips out, you shouldn't be doing that on my child. Now that we've at least said you've got to have someone that the parents approved to designate to do that.
That person could be in the school, could be like a school nurse or something like that, right?
Right.
Could be.
I'll set up case by case.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to see the resolution.
Yeah, I can vote.
Well,
I'm sorry,
and I.
Don't have a yet.
I know, that's what I'm saying, I think I'd like to see that
When
policy.
when did you put this resolution in there? Cause I also had a call from Carly yesterday that she was making some updates and I haven't received that from her.
So do we wanna table this a little bit until we,
I think resolutions are due, that's why the board's gonna take
Yeah.
action today before our next meeting. So I think the decision is whether or not we want to join
Join or
in
not.
that resolution or not. The challenge with seeing a policy is we could pass a resolution today. And the legislature could take up that resolution and completely rewrite it during the
Exactly.
legislative process and have something completely different when it comes out of legislation and
They
so,
never take something and it gets through committee without
yeah.
being added to or taken away.
So I think the question of the board is this something that we want to jointly support District 91 in their resolution? Or do we want them to carry it on their own?
I wonder if we put it in that we support it and note with the exception, we'd like further consideration regarding this specific issue.
Yeah.
And ask them to consider doing that with it.
One of the things that we are doing better than I think most is the all part.
Yep, I agree.
And this starts putting bounds on our all.
Yeah.
And this, not comfortable.
Yeah, well, and what I would say is the only people that can exclude a student from school is the board.
Is who?
Or the parent,
Or
Or the parent, right,
because of
correct.
perception.
Yeah.
Incapacity on their
Yeah.
own part.
I think the challenge is District 91 is kind of in the same boat. They've got one opportunity to get this passed before the deadline for the ISBA resolution. And so you can still choose to support it at the convention and vote for it or not vote for it. It's just a decision right now to say, based on what we've seen, we're not comfortable with the resolution. We don't want our name on the resolution. We might support it in November when we go to the ISBA conference and discuss it and the board could then vote for it there. It's just whether or not you want District 93 to be attached to, we are proposing this legislation.
could we say we agree in principle that in the very last section, we want one more line item that we don't want to exclude. No child should be excluded from education based on their toilet training status or something.
This is just a binary thing. You're either for, you're
Yeah.
either on or off.
I think the challenge is District 91 is the sponsor for it. We would be a co-sponsor. And so whatever they approve, what we've received from them, whatever their board approves is what we would technically would be supporting. And so it's hard for us to make changes while they're also taking action at their board meeting. I don't know if it's tonight or tomorrow. That they're also taking action of what their resolution is going to be. So we could reach out to them if the board wants to, but I think we're unfortunately in a pretty tight timeline and they didn't give us a lot of opportunity to discuss it before. I mean, if this would have been a month ago, we could have made proposals and recommendations to District 91 of we could get behind this if you made these changes. But the reality is we don't have another board meeting before they're due. And that's part of the consequence of bringing this to us so late.
And I didn't get anything updated from them.
I feel like whereas we don't have 100% control over it. I think it's better to not, because we don't have that control over exactly what's going to be presented.
And if the 91 does do this by themselves, we will still have a chance to vote on it at quarterly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they're just looking for some horsepower to go with them to move something forward if there was enough exceptions in 3 and 4.
What I found is good resolutions get the power behind it from the ISBA and they make. If you remember when we vote up there, ISBA is going to give a recommendation to pass or not pass. And so when almost without exception, if there's a recommendation to pass, it almost always passes. And so if this is a good bill, there's going to be enough support through the communication between now and November for it to either receive a do pass or do not pass.
And that's true. So this is not going anywhere until after then, and you can make amendments.
Yeah.
Live that day. Are we there? Any of us there that day? Or are we all coming back early?
Paul will be
will be
there.
Gonna run the calculator,
I've been working with Swan Valley School District on some language for a different resolution, and when I was working with the State Department, talking through it. The comment from the State Department, Spencer Barzies, an Assistant Deputy Superintendent for the state, basically said, let's get our language with what we think we want, and then ISBA can rework the language to try to make it better before it's proposed as legislation. So District 91 could propose, here's the language, here's the intent behind it, and then ISBA will work on drafting better policy that we would then vote on in November. But their timeline is, I believe the next 2 weeks is when it's due.
July
31st.
31st.
July 31st.
Can we rescind our? If we vote on it. Can we rescind our endorsement? Thank you.
I'm not sure. I think if we have reservations, I would recommend that we don't approve it and then
We'll just tell them we're not a part of it.
Can we not approve it? That being they are our community neighbors, say why, and that we hope to be able to support it in November. Some of the.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that would be our conversation with them. You know, we had a great conversation, talked through with the board, they had some reservations, here there's concerns.
Time.
They hear their concerns, time is one of them, being able to give more input on what we feel like is right. And the concerns with, excluding certain students, yeah, I think that's an easy conversation to have.
What's our current expectations for teachers and schools with kids that aren't potty trained?
Call the parents.
So why would it be any different then?
I think the hope is from this that there's a bigger push that, okay, I'll get my kid ready to go to school because they have to be.
Cause they're only
And I'm just not
stipulations.
convinced it'll be that.
Yeah.
The reality is we're talking about a small percentage, and I think Richard's probably right in the sense that there are probably some pretty vulnerable students in that small percentage who come to school in this situation. There probably are a handful of them that parents are just making a choice of, I'll let my kid choose when they're ready to potty train. That's the very small percentage who we're talking about. So if it changes that half dozen to 2 dozen kids, fantastic, but the kids Richard's talking about are in a different situation.
And I do wish I had numbers, right? Like, let's say 5 years ago, this was how many we have, now we have this many.
When they come to register for kindergarten, do they say, you know, we hope they can recognize their letters and this and that, and that they're potty trained?
Yeah, they do, like I said, they hand out a
wish list?
a get ready to read screener is one of the things they do, and they hand out like basically the milestones, the same things that we're sending home, that here's things that they need to do, what are things they can do, like when we did kindergarten registration back in March, that's when they're providing the, you know, hey, here's things for your student to be able to do as they come into kindergarten. And that's what they're putting in.
The hard thing is that we anticipate around 900 kindergarten students this fall. We have about 300 district-wide that come to registration and do all that during the March registration when we're trying to get that going. And so between super hard to staff kindergarten because we just don't know until August how many kids are going to show up. And we don't always have a great way to communicate. If they have had kids in the system, we have a way to, they have other older siblings are getting that information to us. But if this is a first child at any of our schools, we don't even know who the parents are to try to reach out to them. So we use a lot of resources and a lot of avenues to try to find those families. But a lot of them don't pay a lot of attention until August, and it's all of a sudden, oh, I have a kindergarten student, I need to reach out to my school and figure out what I need to do to get them in school this fall. And so we don't have a good way right now to really get good kindergarten numbers until August. And that means we're only communicating with about 40% of our student population in the springtime.
And some schools are higher than others. Like if we have a secretary that's been at a school and lives in that school community, a lot of times
Yeah.
they know who to reach out
The
to.
Discovery Elementary is almost 95% of their students are enrolled right now for kindergarten.
That pretty.
Yeah, and Iowa's pretty good, and part of that is some of their staff go door to door and pass out flyers and really gets the attention of the neighborhood.
On 3C, when you read it, what has been said, it does sound somewhat exclusive, providing for reintegration. Where they've been.
Yeah.
Into the regular classroom environment once the student achieves toilet training readiness.
That's assuming you'll have somebody get them ready.
Right. Yeah.
To that point, my wife deals with this. She does CASA and some of the children that she deals with are not there. It's just simply, I totally concur with that.
I'm not saying we need to ignore this stuff. I'm just not sure this resolution is what we want.
Yeah. It doesn't change anything for certain population.
Well, I think the harder thing that you've already talked about, one of the things we're trying to do is individualize and we're trying to all means all, right?
This is trying to,
It's hard for us.
this is the opposite of individualizing.
Well, are we going to just go back to our excluding students based on expulsion? I mean, how many students you said, yeah, if you've done this, you're gonna be expelled. We're
Yeah,
trying to provide opportunities for them.
Is there any more discussion? Then we would need a motion. And you can vote no, even if you move and second the motion, that does not preclude you from voting against it or for it.
I move that we not approve the toilet training condition, joint resolution with Idaho Falls School District 91 is presented and express our concerns why to them.
It's been moved by Mr. Smith
I'll second that.
and seconded by Mrs. Clayton. That you're saying not to do it.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
But you rewrite that?
What's that?
I got it. I just put one word in.
Policies for initial consideration. Policy 2320, health and human sexuality inspection.
So this is an easy one. It's not easy, but it's for initial, so that's what's gonna make it somewhat easy is that it's for initial. So, and this is really in response to the legislation that was passed this last session. And one of the things that worried us with this session, they used, when talking about sex ed, they used the word, and if you look down at the bottom, one of the things that was helpful that Scott did a great job with is the definition section. Because one of the terms that they used in the new law is they talked about where did it go? Sexual attraction. And they put that in there that then, so we were having the conversation about like Romeo and Juliet, for example. Does Romeo and Juliet within that, is there sexual attraction? There could be, but with the law, then you would have to do the same things that if you were going to talk about the more explicit things. And so what we were trying to do and is to define those things so that in every class, our teachers won't always have to do this. What we're trying to do is take some of the work from the teachers in whether it's a biology class, all of those different things that we were nervous of. We even asked the question of, okay, so if you're talking about what's the other one? Human biology, for example. One of the things that came up early is if you're talking in a early elementary class, you're playing head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Is that something that you now have to get permission, and it's opt-in or something like that? Those are some of the things that are being talked about in this law as it was passed. And so Scott early on said, if we can identify and in our policy put definitions, then write the policy based on those definitions, and we'll be able to help our teachers from every time if I'm teaching a biology class, then I'm not going to have to send. Now, if it is truly about sex education, then we should be doing those things. We should be making sure that parents are aware, giving them time to opt their students in for it. And then, but those are on the truly sex ed ones, not something that would be like a Romeo and Juliet or something like that has, so I think that's what will be helpful with those definitions. So that was a big part of it.
So you're trying to define the difference between sexual attraction and romantic attraction?
Well,
Is that what you're trying to say?
well, in the wording of the law, it just lumped everything together
Okay.
and said, if you're teaching any of these things, then you have to do this. And we're like, well, wait a minute, that could mean teaching Romeo and Juliet, you're teaching anything that may have a novel where there could be, you could guess that maybe they had an attraction with each other, but there was nothing specifically stated in there. There was no scene of anything sexual or anything like that. But now a teacher in an English class would then have to notify parents, let them opt in. But and then in biology, I think was the other courses that was gonna be really difficult. So if we could make sure that we are identifying, those are separate in this policy. And if you read the policy, it's specifically on those sex education type things that parents should be notified of if anything is gonna be talked about. And yeah, and this one is for initial. So this is your first viewing. You can be able to look through it. Questions, if you have questions, let us know. And then probably in July, in our August board meeting, then it would move to a 30-day review. Any other
questions?
No, I think they isolated them out and then reference each other policy, which makes us lean.
Yeah, Scott did a really good job on saying, okay, this is addressed in law, this one isn't. And so
Go to the heart of this policy, we can talk about the sexual side, and it makes it clean.
I just wonder how many times these kids are gonna watch that
I know.
video.
All right.
In high definition.
In high definition, yeah,
Right.
make sure it's in high definition.
Grades 5 through 12.
Yeah.
Any class, so.
Yeah, I did have a teacher submit the video for approval. She was already ahead.
She's ahead again.
I guess. But I do think there were teachers at that time that weren't sure, right, what it was gonna look like, and I think. I mean, you know, it could in the biology class have to be able to show that class.
The simple beauty is they've defined it, they picked the movie, our liabilities.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
So
Yep.
whether we like it or not, they've done it.
Right, it makes it easier for us. Yeah, agree.
All right, moving on, deletion of proposed policy 23.
So 2310, we just added to this policy. In fact, Scott had called me and said, hey, have you ever looked at 2310? I'm like, I don't know. So I hurried down on my computer, looked it up, and I'm like, I've never looked at that policy. And really it's fits within this new policy. That's why we wrote it. Anything that would have been in that policy will be in this.
Questions? Policy 2340, commercial issues.
And so with controversial issues, we just added. Basically just a section that sends you back to this policy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right there.
Just like with the other one we had.
That's just cleaning stuff.
Yeah, cleaning that up and really, having, going back to, this new policy that we'll have. Yep. And everything else is the same in it, just pointing them back to the health and human sexuality instruction.
Questions? All right, proposed policy 3265.
And
Student use of electronics.
Yep, 3265 student use of electronic devices, and this one would be moving from initial to public review. Any questions, one of the thoughts that I've had since we've met on that is to be able to help the schools. I feel like if we are going to do a red light, yellow light, green light, is to be able to provide to the schools that system, right? Like that signs, and so that we're district wide, whether it has a district logo on it or whatever, that to be able to provide that for the schools.
One thing I'd ask on this one is, do you as administrators and your faculty feel like that this is enforceable and workable? I mean, we can always change it if we find out it's not, but.
The committee did. Now, again, the committee's much smaller it'll be interesting to see. I think we'll have a couple of different places that will fill that. One will be when it goes to public review and if people are paying attention. And then in August, when teachers come back and we present the new policies and the new whether it's new legislation, new policies, and then we'll get feedback really from teachers if they feel like it can, and then what administrators will say is, look, we're gonna start it this way, we're gonna continue to roll through and see how it goes.
And if you're comfortable trying it, I'm comfortable trying it.
We know that Hillcrest was kind of doing that. We heard.
Yeah,
But we got
we
some
know-
review on it.
Yeah, we know in the classrooms that we're following it with fidelity, it was effective, the kids followed it, they understood, but we didn't have fidelity across the school. What we will have is now a board policy that teachers will be in violation of if they choose not to follow the policy.
You know, I hope it's presented just like you get Monday off if you're, you know, you should. You get to have some opportunity to use your phone if you use it properly, if you don't.
Yeah.
You know, they ought to announce the
Yep.
school board's looking at this as a trial.
Yep.
And if you don't manage it well, likely they'll take them away next year.
And that's that's how we'll present it to administrators in our open meeting of, here's the policy, here's what it's gonna look like. School board's supportive of it, but we want it to be successful in the schools. And that was one of the comments that Tyler Mills made from Hillcrest was, they were gonna make some changes with it because they felt like there were teachers that weren't necessarily following it, but they felt like, just as Heath said, they felt like the ones that were, it was successful.
Some just aren't gonna want the confrontation, the teachers, they're gonna let it get away. Pardon?
If they resolve because the board signs it up in the classroom. Say, there's the policy.
Just one brief comment on it was when I went to that class, that's what they wanted to take away was the confrontation between the teacher and the student. If they were notified, the office would call them down and take the phone from them and put it in an envelope in front of them and they put their name on it. So it wasn't, when they went back to the classroom, they don't have to have the stink eye with the teacher, you know.
Exactly, that's exactly what was thinking. Please, you, the stink eyes, you call it. Will not be the teacher.
I thought it reads the teacher has to call them out and the beginning process is to take the phone from the student in the classroom for the day.
But the teacher says, this is the policy I have to follow.
Well, that's true. That's the one thing, if we do it district-wide, that gives them some
Yeah.
more
And
power.
that's what we continue to hear from the surveys was, we need something, and it wasn't, I never felt like we had something that said we shouldn't have cell phones in school. From our survey results, what I felt like it was, we need something consistent throughout.
Well, and I like in the line that it says in here that it, you know, for the passing periods and recess and lunches, that it's free will unless it's restricted by your building rules. And so it still gives our administration the authority to say, listen, we're a red phone hall here, or teachers to say, my classroom's a red light classroom, there's no cell phones. It gives them that option to still,
It essentially is the power of the teacher and the
Absolutely.
administration.
absolutely.
And we'll see if it goes that way, right? I mean, that's what.
In that group of 37 students at Thunder Ridge that were all the overachievers or high-end, you know, that's what more than one of them said is when I'm in class, you know, and I know I want the synonym or something, I instantly can get it right there and I keep going. It speeds up time and that they can use it for their hotspot. Those two things make a lot of sense when they're used properly.
And to me, that's the key, and throughout the policy, that's what it says, is even green is it's still used appropriately.
Do we need a motion?
I will move to approve proposed policy 3265, student use of electronic devices for public review.
It's been moved by Mrs. Coates,
Second it.
seconded by Mrs. Clayton, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. For final adoption, policy 2180, flag displays.
Yeah, any questions about the policy? Again, the biggest part from us to that change, well, I guess the biggest thing for us for the change in the policy is the state law that changed. And so a lot of it is word for word from the state law.
Yeah. Federal rule.
Questions?
No public input or comment during the 30 days.
Anything. Nothing.
We got almost a year on this one. Didn't start this year.
Well, if you remember, we wrote our own in October.
We were up at.
Pine Base.
Basically, yeah, so we've had tons of conversations. But even with that one, we still had to update based on the new state law, because we were, I'd say allowing certain things. Allowing certain things that now the state law does not allow. So, yeah,
Right, we need a motion.
I move to approve the proposed policy 2180 flag display for final adoption.
It's been moved by Mr. Hess,
Second.
and seconded by Mr. Smith, all in favor.
Aye.
Motion carries. Policy 2700 P1.
and this procedure, we have a procedure 1 and a procedure 2. The procedure 1 is our comprehensive high school graduation requirements. And the change on this one was again, new change from legislation, adding a digital literacy for beginning with the class of 2028. So freshmen last year will have to have this class before they graduate. And then the future readiness project, which will take the place of senior project for those for the freshmen. And they'll just have to take that by that time. So it's really just adding those two pieces to that. And then a digital literacy piece.
Questions?
Adding credit. Is that how you understand it?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So what we'll do is and I probably should explain this better, but how our policy, how it's set up is it has, here's the core classes that they have to take. And then besides that, then those all become elective. So we added a digital literacy course, and that will take basically an elective away. That's really good. The total 60 credits for the comprehensive high schools.
Do we need a motion?
I'll move to approve proposed policy 2700 P1, comprehensive high school graduation requirements for final adoption.
It's been moved by Mrs. Coates,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Hess, all in favor.
Aye.
Motion carries. Proposed policy 2700 P2. Alternative special high school graduation requirements.
And on this one, if you're looking at it, I reformatted it some. And really why I reformatted it was that we had, our specialty alternative is what it was titled. And then, we had really Bonneville Online High School and Lincoln together in one, when in, I would say, practice, they're different in what Bonneville Online High School was requiring. And so what I wanted to do was really split those into 3. So now what we have is we have our alternative school, which is Lincoln, and then the new addition of Bonneville Online Academy, which is the alternative school at Bonneville Online High School. They will be under the same requirements for graduation. And then I split it out so that Bonneville Online High School had their own section. Because it just, every time I looked at it, it would just seem confusing. And I'm like, well, if they're different, let's make sure we split it out and have those 3 different sections. So we have the Lincoln High School, Bonneville Online High School, and then TCHS at the bottom. So, and the update was adding the 2 courses, which one will replace the senior project and the other one's the digital literacy for those freshmen currently. And then Bonneville Online was to update what they have been, I think, always.
Well, we've been doing it in practice since year 1. We used to say, well, make a decision right now as a freshman, whether you're gonna come to Bonneville Online and stay here and graduate, or if you might go back, then you got a different set of graduation requirements. So we basically just said, the core is the same. What you do at Thunder Ridge, Bonneville High School, Hillcrest, whatever, the core is exactly the same. We'll just reduce the number of electives that you're required to do.
And these are 4 of the kids that are going to graduate from Bonneville Online High School. So they're like, for example, there was two English credits, 2 extra English credits, and 2 history. So they follow our traditional schools with the history credit, and then 1 more math credit.
Do we need a motion?
I move to approve policies 2700P2, alternative high school graduation requirements for final adoption.
Been moved by Mr. Hess,
Second
seconded by Ms. Clayton, all in favor. Motion carries. Policy 1510. Policy.
Basically, school board,
Yeah.
Just this
School board,
updates it to-
the chairman or superintendent can do it individually, 2 board members. If they reject it and the people, patron wants it presented, they can come before the board and ask for the board, right? Yeah.
And a couple of other items, just procedural. but-
Yeah, it's procedural, we're following, yeah.
So this just gets it updated with state law primarily, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
The last one lasted, what, 6 months?
Yeah, that's funny. That's exactly what we're talking about. It was like the flag one. Didn't we just talk about this? Yep, we're continuing
It
to talk.
shows we're ahead of the state.
All right, we need a motion.
I move to approve the proposed policy 1510 board agenda items for final adoption.
It's been moved by Mr. Smith,
I'll second.
and seconded by Mrs. Scopes, all in favor. Motion carries. And now we have to start agreeing on what we're going to have for the agenda items. Is that correct? Did I read that correctly?
No.
It's
It's back to what it was.
I think it just makes it more flexible like it used to be, whatever.
So now people can come in and talk whatever they want at public input.
Oh, no, not public input.
Oh,
Items to be added.
no items on the agenda.
It's essentially the same, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, you can still put anything on the agenda. 2 of us, 2 board members have to come to you to add.
But I think it's always been that.
Well, yeah, I just asked if they have meetings, if there's anybody who wants to have agenda items on and,
Yes.
but people do have the ability to request items on the agenda and that does go through the approval. Cause some of the things are, I just send them to a director to answer their questions or whatever, so. And then, if they say, no, I don't want to see the board, then I do reach out to the board. And we haven't had that situation come up, but there is that option. But ultimately, it's you guys deciding, what goes on the agenda.
Okay. We'll go back there and read it and find it. All right, items for upcoming agendas.
I would like to hear from the Hillcrest band, if we could invite them to come. So if anybody else would like to hear from
I
those
think it's
students.
great.
Next month, we have, the Bonneville baseball getting recognized for their state championship. We have, what is his name? Sperry, what's his title now?
Sergeant.
Sergeant, thank you. Sergeant Sperry coming in to, talk about the camp that they did. They used our buses and facilities and, we're gonna honor Guy Wingstar. So we have a full one there. We want to wait until September when school's back in for the kids to come in and talk about Hillcrest band.
Yes.
Okay.
How about the supplemental? You gonna be talking about that? Right,
Yeah, but yeah, I can put that on there, but yeah, that was our.
Yeah.
and do we need to talk about promotion? And I mean, we discussed the idea of hiring a PR firm. Are we gonna talk about that more, or has that been tabled, or no go, or don't have the
I
money
think all of
for it?
that could be part of the discussion on supplemental, and the approach we wanna take. I think we really have 2 meetings. The regular meeting and the work session prior to the due date.
But
That we better
it's like
finalize.
the 16th of September or something.
No,
It's like-
it's been moved up to August.
Yeah.
It's 2 days after our work session.
Yeah.
They moved that, that was in
It's the
legislation.
28th,
Yeah, all that
Mhm.
stuff we do.
that's when.
29th, I think, is it the
I think it's the 29th.
I think it's the 29th.
27th.
29th, right in the 29th is the deadline. For all you people who are board members. Yeah. There's 3 of you.
I would like to add 2 or 3 other things. Let's do the, Les Barn ribbon cutting. That could be added to the agenda and a tour of, Willow Creek. Actually, I'd like to see a tour sometime of all of the buildings we're working on.
Every Wednesday, every 2 weeks, we meet at Willow Creek and kind of go over everything and we do walkthroughs of all these buildings. That'd be the time, so Wednesday at 1 p.m. is when we meet, so like around 2 p.m. is that good time, or do you want to try to schedule something? Could be a different time.
If we could do that in conjunction with the work session, that might work out very well.
Okay,
On August,
August
next month.
29th.
So our work session starts at 4:30, is that what we decided?
What if,
Yeah, that's the one that Doug is coming to.
Yes,
what if, I mean, if we're busy and you're doing it every Wednesday,
it's every other Wednesday.
can you just invite us every other Wednesdays, and if two or more of us show up, you can do a notification or something?
I'll just do notification for any
That way-
visits.
It'd make more flexibility when we can come, that's just what I'm saying.
Is that just for Willow Creek?
No, we usually do Willow Creek, Bonneville, and Ball Valley, anything we need to talk about, those are the main three, the big ones. We'll walk through every time,
So you just,
but we can definitely add to it and go to the other ones if we want to.
If you guys will work with him and get it scheduled, then
I'll work with Cody to get
but
it.
if we can get a couple of dates that we could do it, then those,
Yeah,
I mean, when we only have one chance to do it, I may or may not
It's
be able
hard
to
to-
do it.
So we have July 16th, July 30th, August 13th, so it's pretty much every other Wednesday, starting July 16th.
That's all right.
And we'll meet from usually 1 to 2, so if you wanna go before 1, we could, actually 2 o'clock would probably be better.
Meet where, I don't know.
So yeah, Willow Creek would be the first place. 2 o'clock. Yeah.
And so Sam, what would we have to do? We just have to let you know we're gonna show up, and if there's more than two of us, like if there's three of us, you gotta do a notification, if there's two, you
Yeah.
don't. Is that right?
yeah, more than two is, I noticed it.
Okay, so we just need to tell you, so you'll
Mhm.
know that. Okay.
Yep.
Bring a hard hat or they'll provide you one.
They'll provide it for you.
I bring my golden shovel too. There you go.
Bring your shovel. Yeah, bring your
Bring
shovel.
your hammer.
My
Carrier.
Keep that in
Tool
my
bags.
house.
all right, is that an action item then?
No, no. The action item is for people who submit that they want to be on the agenda. And then that's where you approve to have it on. the agenda. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I misread something in there. I'll go back and do that.
That's just kind of what yeah. I'm not sure if that's still in the law, but that's what we have on our form.
Agenda items, any agenda item requiring a vote shall be entitled as an action item.
So none of these things that we've decided are action items.
So they would all be just discussion items.
Yeah,
Potentially, the supplemental levy could become an action item.
Yeah, if you have time, there's especially going to be PR firm or something.
Yeah. So we probably need to take action for that, add it to the agenda tonight, and then the other ones are just discussion items.
So we would need a motion on the.
I moved to add
No,
the supplemental.
we don't we don't need to have an action
I
on
think we
that.
do on that policy.
I think
If we're
we do.
going, if there's a potential
That's what
action
the
in
policy
August,
said.
But it's
Yeah.
also that the board chair can approve that. We don't need to.
yeah.
The
So
superintendent. we're
the
board chair.
superintendent,
It's
the
board
Yeah,
chair
and
can
I
approve
just-
it. We don't need to.
Until we go through and discuss the agenda with Paul coming to our meeting and director's meeting is when we.
Yeah. So you can take Richard's recommendation to supplemental and add it to the agenda on your own.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Paul, you can talk about anything you want at any meeting.
I do need to ask,
It's on
who's
the-
planning on attending Ammon Days?
That's sorry.
It's,
I don't have it right now.
we have a booth at Ammon Days. It's
The
on
board
August-
typically hasn't come and spent a day with us.
August
Are you trying to guilt shame us?
No.
second.
I'm telling
He's
you,
saying it, you don't.
if you come to Ammon Days, stop by and say hi, but the board typically hasn't spent a day with us at Ammon Days.
Sorry, what day is
So
it?
What do you
trying to
want us
say?
to do?
Stop by.
No, just
Okay.
generally.
If there's gonna be
Scott
three of
invites
us.
the board if they would like to come to
But
the,
you always can, right? You
yeah,
come and
and
hang out.
Paul's come to,
What day is it?
Yukon
It's
Days.
Saturday.
Yeah, Yukon Days, so we have board members attend.
I did.
Then you
you.
count and I own
Yeah, that's fine.
So that's why I need to know if I need a notice.
I will be on Ammon Days.
What is the date?
town?
Sorry,
So
what
for
Ammon's the
Saturday,
second.
It's this
Second.
week, next weekend.
Of August.
Second, yeah.
It is.
Does anyone know what month we're in?
July.
We're in July. In June.
Is it the-
July.
Awesome.
When's
The
the
boys are driving my wife crazy, I might be there.
27th. Yeah, that'd be fun
For Saturday.
for Saturday.
And
So
what's
this
the- what's the rest of them that you
The second.
That's all we've signed up for.
Okay.
We're not gonna, I don't think we're gonna do.
Have you sent those all out on our calendar, Hammond days?
No, well,
No,
Honestly, yeah.
probably
How
not.
soon before I get there, do I have to notify?
August first through the third. So it'll be the
You can
second.
never meet up with another
This is
board
second.
member.
Sorry.
All right,
August first through the
So
third.
just let me know and I'll notice that.
Marissa,
ready for this, so yeah. I move that we adjourn this meeting.
been moved by Mrs. Phillips,
Second it.
second by Mrs. Clayton, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.